Getting a head up on the competition. Hello and welcome to Future Watch. I'm Donna Kelly. At this time of year when many people stop to give thanks for what they have, some also stop to think about those who don't have much to be thankful for. In Los Angeles, some folks who haven't even had a place to live are being given a chance for a better future in a new community. Greg Lamont has the story.
From Miami's oceanside shacks to Chicago's fire barrels to the cardboard boxes and freeway overpasses of Los Angeles, as many as 3 million people nationwide have no place to call home. How to house them is a question that for decades has primarily gone unanswered.
I lived on the streets for a year and 8 months. I lived in the cul-de-sac back here, and it was rough. You went hungry, you got wet, you got cold. It was scary.
There have been temporary fixes in the forms of tent cities and shelters, but with little to no political clout and dwindling funds, many have simply disappeared. Could the answer lie, in part, in this futuristic-looking domed community?
We adopted the dome idea to our plan for the homeless and how to get the homeless empowered out of the streets and on to a more comprehensive plan.
With a $250,000 grant from Arco Petroleum, 18 geodesic domes were built on property once occupied by people living in cardboard boxes. Called Genesis, it allows the homeless to govern their own community.
You see, I have 2 rooms. I have my kids' room and my room, and they enjoy it. They like to say the atmosphere is good for them. You know, it's safe in here for my kids. They don't have to be out in the streets. They can run around here and have fun.
All of the community's 24 residents must help with cleaning, cooking, and security chores. Organizers insist this is temporary housing aimed at helping people get back on their feet.
You're talking about homeless people themselves being in charge of their community and in charge of their transition out of homelessness. And I think that's the great contribution that they're making.
Critics suggest those living in the community will eventually see it as a permanent situation and that efforts would be better spent creating affordable housing. Ted Hayes has problems with that.
Now, if someone has an affordable housing plan, I would sure like to hear it, and let's talk about it and let's work on it together. In the meantime, we're not going to allow people to stay out in the cold and stay out in the wind and be dehumanized.
Gives me a lot of hope. Gives me something to look forward to. Gives me a future.
Residents have a vested interest in its success because if it fails, Greg Lamont, CNN, Los Angeles.
When high school students headed back to school this fall, they found a new communication system waiting for them. BARC is the creation of a New York-based record company, and now that it's off and running, students are finding this BARC has a different kind of bite. Mark Shearer explains.
Irvington High School in New York is one of 9,000 schools across the United States where students are logging into a computer network with a growing voice. BARC is both an interactive bulletin board and a newspaper, linking classrooms and providing students with an outlet for free expression.
The kids are really happy to see it, not just because it's something fun for them to read, but I think they realize that it's an opportunity for them to do something that they've never really been able to do before, which is speak through their writing to a larger audience across the country.
Parker Riley oversees production of the BARC newspaper and chooses which articles make each issue. Except for profanity, students' words go uncensored. Topics range from racism to criticism of American culture to getting comfortable with condoms.
As the editor of the paper, I'm not going out of my way to run controversial articles. My goal is to let the kids express themselves. If in the course of them expressing themselves, they express something that happens to be controversial to somebody else, so be it.
All right, Emily, this is the main menu.
Teacher involvement is limited to instruction on how to use the system, and students are encouraged to send messages to each other, breaking down geographical and social boundaries with the keyboard.
Well, it's always, at least for me, we're in a small town, and it's interesting to communicate with people from all over the country.
I don't know, made me think that people are more like me.
BARC is free to students because it's funded by Polygram Records. The company does not advertise in BARC or influence its content. It hopes to gain in the long term.
It's to Polygram's benefit to have their finger on the pulse of what kids are feeling and thinking.
Riley thinks BARC's potential is unlimited once it clears a few hurdles.
What's up with Mike? He was supposed to FedEx me all that stuff. Especially since there's nothing else like it, we really have the opportunity to go to take it wherever we can and wherever the kids want to take it.
Right now, it's taking off as more students discover they can use bits and bytes to have a powerful BARC. Mark Shearer, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
The design of Space Station Freedom has changed a number of times, and now it's awaiting a change in identity. President Clinton has asked NASA to rename the space station to reflect its new look and Russian involvement in the project. Out of the hundreds of suggested names, the list has been narrowed to 5 finalists: Unity, Alliance, Aurora, Alpha, and Sigma. NASA Administrator Daniel Golden is working with the White House on making the final selection. The space station is scheduled to be put together in Earth's orbit during shuttle missions beginning in 1997. What may be the best hope for the world's endangered species sits in a tank the shape of a washing machine. More than 3 million people a year visit the San Diego Zoo, unaware that a remote corner of the world-famous menagerie houses a zoo of another kind called the 20th Century Ark, or Frozen Zoo, where a major research effort is underway to rescue the world's wildlife. Ann McDermott shows us how it's done.
This is Pesach, a cheetah. If he sounds unhappy, it may be because he's been put in an undignified position, but all in the name of science.
There you go. Good boy. Good boy.
These women are collecting sperm from Pesach.
I think we can do one more. I'd be willing to call it a day after that if you guys are.
The method of collection, one of several different methods, involves the use of a piece of automotive hose constructed to approximate the anatomy of a female leopard, complete with collection sac. The sperm is then put in cold storage at the Center for Reproduction of Endangered Species at the San Diego Zoo. And there, in a few years perhaps, zoo mammals will be conceived via artificial insemination, and maybe sometime zoos would be able to produce their own test tube babies, babies like these endangered apes. Ultimately, they hope endangered species get out of danger.
I think it's much more than Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park is a neat story, but it started with only fragments of DNA.
The Frozen Zoo not only has sperm and eggs, but tissue samples, even some embryos, though no one here talks about reviving what's already extinct. It's enough for them to try and save some of the bonobone chimps, that's right, like you, or Chinese pheasants, or Przewalski's horses. Horses that used to thunder across Asia for hundreds of thousands of years, but today exist only in zoos. The scientists want to change that.
What we have in there is, we think, the future.
The future, a future of bringing species back from the brink, is likely years, maybe even lifetimes away. But scientists say even saving a few creatures is worth the time, the effort, and yes, even a certain amount of indignity. Ann McDermott, CNN, Los Angeles.
The International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources has identified more than 1,000 species in the wild that it expects will be extinct within 15 years. Other experts say 100 more species join that list every year, and that in the next 25 years, 75% of the world's animal species may vanish. Last month, the British government decreed that draft beers served in the country's pubs could contain as much as 5% foam. The ruling outraged beer drinkers who'd complained they were being shortchanged by brews too long on foam and short on liquid. Their grumblings actually became an issue in Britain's most recent parliamentary elections. That may seem like a lot of fuss over foam, but in a visit to one of the world's largest breweries, Heineken, in Holland, David George found that beer makers take the frothy subject of foam just as seriously.
The view from the bottom of the glass. In a laboratory that would do credit to any college or research institute, Heineken researchers measured the rise and fall of foam with a one-of-a-kind foam analyzer.
What we're looking for is different behavior of different beers mainly. One beers collapse faster than others, and we can measure that with this apparatus.
Heineken claims to have been the first brewery to establish its own quality control laboratory. The company has been making beer under its own name since the 1860s. The art of beer making dates back to at least the 21st century, BC. At Heineken's modern brewery at Zoeterwoude, south of Amsterdam, cans roar off the production line at the rate of 90,000 an hour. The bottling lines turn out 2,500 bottles a minute.
Do you like a beer?
Why, certainly.
Alexander Ronteltap is Heineken's professor of foam, an agricultural scientist who appears as much at home behind the bar as in front of a laboratory bench.
If you don't mind, I'd like to have one myself.
To Ronteltap, the ideal beer is one with foam 2 fingers high, as he puts it, that lasts for 5 minutes.
Beer foams because it is supersaturated with carbon dioxide. It contains more carbon dioxide than it should when you open a bottle. And this carbon dioxide wants to come out, and it comes out forming bubbles, carbon dioxide bubbles, and these bubbles rise to the surface to give a foam.
Foam is just one of the things Heineken studies as it strives to produce a uniform product. Specially selected teams of employees sample beers from all over the world, recording their comments on computers.
Like, for example, a certain bitterness or a certain sweetness and aroma components as well.
But it's the foam that fascinates the professor of foam. Alexander Ronteltap says the frothy, fragile phenomenon can be affected by a whole host of things, especially grease.
And I could demonstrate that. I have here some greasy material of which I can add very little to the foam, only one droplet, and you'll see how, especially on top of the foam, how detrimental the effect is.
Let me just turn this here. It looks like it's bubbling on top. Look at that.
Ronteltap says this beer is going flat because his one drop of oil repelled the water around the bubbles, breaking them. The same thing could happen, he says, if someone took a sip of beer after eating greasy food.
Like, for example, French fries, this could happen, and then within, well, a short period of time, a beer may look completely flat. And
would it taste the same?
It would still taste the same, or yes, it would still taste the same, but it looks completely flat, and the appreciation would be much less, I suppose.
Modern beer is the product of an ancient and unaltered formula: water, barley, and hops, fermented with yeast. History tells us there's evidence of beer being brewed in Egypt and Mesopotamia nearly 4,000 years ago. Heineken sells beer under its own name or under license in 150 countries. The company says its aim is for every bottle of Heineken to taste and to foam the same way, no matter where in the world it's poured. A tall order that technology helps fulfill.
Now, we saw what appeared to be a lot of, we saw what appeared to be a lot of science this afternoon. Laboratories, technicians. Is that what brewing has come to as we approach the 21st century?
No, I don't think so, because beer brewing still is very much based on experience of centuries. And I think it's mostly experience and just a very little bit of science.
What science has given the brewer, Ronteltap says, is control, something brewers in the 21st century BC never had. In Zoeterwoude, Holland, David George, CNN, Future Watch.
Thanks for being with us today. I'm Donna Kelly. Stay tuned for more news right here on CNN.
holiday travelers. Dave Hennon joins us once again with an update on conditions out there. Dave?
Andrea, we have seen lots of snow through the Midwest especially, and that snow does even continue at this hour. Let's show you the scenes out of South Dakota. This is near Aberdeen, where they have right now on the ground 23 inches of snow. It continues to snow even now. It is light snow, though, and the snow should be tapering off as we continue to see the focus over the next 24 hours turning more into rain. As you can see by the weather map, as we look on for later tomorrow, we do expect the snow to continue through much of the midsection of the country. Just light snow, though, around Chicago. So if you are traveling through O'Hare tomorrow, no major delays are expected, just light snow here. Most of the activity will be along the coast. But notice this is almost all rain from New York City back down to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. So no major travel problems, although we will see some delays in the airports we do expect just because of the rain, and there could be some low clouds and fog. Also, there could be some problems on the West Coast as well as the system moves on shore there. Rain all the way from Seattle back down into Sacramento, and the precipitation continues with light snow in the Midwest and the rain across the east coast. We'll be back in about an hour. Complete update on your weather. Andrea?
Thank you, Dave. With just a computer, a modem, and a telephone line, you can tap into a worldwide source of information called Internet. You can talk to people who are thousands of miles away and even get them to help you. One woman in Denver, Colorado is alive now because of it. The night before Thanksgiving, she typed, "Please, anybody, talk to me. I went to the top of the fire escape. I wanted to jump." Across the country in his Fredericksburg, Virginia townhouse, Christopher Glover saw her message and typed back, "This is Christopher. I'm here."
She was located at the University of Denver, and she was in the engineering department there at the on campus. So while I was talking to her on the computer, I had called information to get the security information number at the University of Denver.
A university police told Glover the woman is apparently a diabetic who apparently had a bad reaction to some new medication. She was hospitalized and is getting counseling. After 2 years of balking at a UN resolution, Iraq has agreed to allow unconditional long-term monitoring of its weapons program. But the United States says it's too early to talk of lifting economic sanctions against Iraq, sanctions that have barred Iraqi oil exports for 3 years. The State Department says Iraq must first prove it can keep its word about the monitoring provision. It was a key provision of the ceasefire that ended the Gulf War. Baghdad's new position on arms monitoring will be the focus today of a special edition of Evans and Novak. They'll talk with Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz. That's at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Science and Technology Week is coming up as CNN Weekend continues.
Ever since Andrea started working for America West, there's one thing she can't stop singing about. Find out when you fly with me.
At America West, we respect your need to save money.
What you need, you know we got it. All we're giving is a liar's hey.
So fly America West and get something you don't always get on other airlines.
When stress takes its toll, wouldn't it be great to have your very own personal masseuse to soothe and relieve tension? TheraFX presents the Pro Shiatsu Personal Massager. Unlike vibrating massagers that only rub the surface, Pro Shiatsu simulates the kneading action of a real masseuse, sending penetrating waves of energy to relieve pain, stress, and sore muscles. Use it on your feet, lower back, calves, and thighs. Imagine getting a relaxing massage at the office, or take it along to the gym. There's nothing that soothes, relaxes, and relieves aches and pains like the Pro Shiatsu Massager. A professional masseuse can charge up to $50 per hour, and catalogs have advertised similar units for as much as $200. Now you can order the Pro Shiatsu Massager for 3 easy payments of $33. Order now.
Don't be fooled by imitations. To order Pro Shiatsu, call 1-800-643-2500. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of $33 plus shipping and handling. Order your Pro Shiatsu for 3 monthly payments. Call now 1-800-643-2500.
Today, Iraq wants sanctions against it lifted and will take the issue to the United Nations. Iraqi Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz makes his case on a special edition of CNN's Evans and Novak, 1:30 p.m. Eastern today.
What goes more than 180 miles an hour and seats hundreds. A record-breaking Japanese bullet train. The sleek train set a new mark for speed in Japan. The bullet train was developed by West Japan Railway Company. Armies on the move have always set up temporary housing near battle zones, and most of it has been about as comfortable as a foxhole. Well, now the U.S. Army is testing a new kind of portable shelter that's like a luxury hotel by comparison. And that story is coming up on Science and Technology Week next with Miles O'Brien.
The Siberian tiger is one of the fiercest predators on Earth, but its teeth and claws don't protect it from the dangers caused by humans. We'll see how biologists are trying to keep the Siberian tiger from dying out. Also, shipping boxes like this can contain an entire tent city with many of the comforts of home. And laser shows are more than just a flash in the pan. We'll find out how they work and what their future holds. Those stories and more are just ahead. Hello, I'm Miles O'Brien. In the vast forests of far eastern Russia near the Pacific Ocean, tigers still roam free. But there are not as many as there used to be. Scientists from the United States are part of an intense effort to learn more about the endangered tigers and keep them from becoming extinct. Recently, CNN's Claire Shipman went with the researchers to the wilderness of Sokoto-Alin, Russia.
At the end of the world, one of the wildest places on Earth, U.S. experts are helping Russians preserve one of the wildest inhabitants, the Siberian tiger. 4 other tiger subspecies have already vanished. Experts are working to keep this fabled creature from being the next.
These are the tracks of the tiger.
Dr. Dale McKell is into his 3rd year at the Sokoto-Alin Reserve. The wildlife biologist was sent here by the Hornecker Wildlife Research Institute to work with the Russians. The private group is using radio collars and receivers to unravel the secrets of the mysterious cat, what it needs to survive. The first step is capturing the tigers in unbaited snares. McKell says bait would only draw bears.
I think that the time the snare is really tested is when people approach for the first time.
Once captive, the tiger is quickly immobilized with tranquilizer darts. This one's called Katya.
One of the most beautiful animals in the world. We found, in fact, that it is incredibly difficult to capture tigers, but we have been able to capture 9 in the course of 2 years.
A rare event, and CNN was lucky to be there for the latest capture of Zhenya. To cut down on the trauma for the tiger, researchers work quickly. They fit a radio collar and measure the cat, one of the biggest in the world.
Look, I got this.
This 2-year-old weighed in at 385 pounds.
You worry about everything when you're immobilizing an animal. You worry about the people and you worry about the animal, whether or not it's going to injure itself. And then once the animal is anesthetized, you worry about the effect of the drug on the animal.
Blood and tissue samples will eventually tell whether the species is too inbred to survive. 60 years ago, there were only 30 Siberian tigers left roaming this region. But communism, once it got going, was good for the cats. Borders sealed and weapons confiscated, the population grew to 500 or 600 by the 1980s, all but a few inside Russia. Today, political chaos and reopened borders have cut the numbers back to an estimated 300. 50 tigers were killed by poachers last year alone. A Siberian tiger skin fetches at least $5,000. The Chinese are especially eager customers. They use tiger bones for medicine. And logging cuts habitat for the tiger and its prey, deer and wild boar.
Right ear tag 19.
The study done, the collar in place, the tiger gets a stimulant. Time to clear out, and quick. Monitoring begins immediately.
first activity was at 14:08.
Mikkel can now pinpoint location and movement.
In some ways, the most exciting moment is when they get up and walk away, because right now, to me, is to hear that signal is a big relief, because it means probably that the tiger's going to be okay.
Most monitoring means tedious footwork, but the tiger's range is so large, Mikkel takes his receivers into the air every week, searching mountains and thickets along the far eastern coast for the elusive animals.
You're always afraid you're not going to find an animal and you don't know what happened to it.
To hear the trackers talk, the big cats are like members of the family.
Got a good signal on Katya now.
Katya's been worrisome of late, wandering near the road. Mikkel spent many sleepless nights listening for her.
That kind of activity is not good news for us or for Katya, because it exposes her to poachers.
Today, there are more Siberian tigers living in captivity than in their natural habitat. These cubs in a Nebraska zoo until a few months ago lived in the wild. They were orphaned when poachers killed their mother, Lena, one of the radio-collared tigers. Mikkel and others saved 2 of the 4 cubs.
Did you look at the teeth?
The Hornecker Project is trying to build a worldwide network of conservationists so that time and money is spent effectively on the cats.
And to be successful, we have to include not just the conservationists, but the politicians, the loggers, the people who live here. A viable solution to this incorporates the needs of the people as well as the animals.
The Siberian tiger is a natural gift for this remote outback like nowhere else on Earth.
They're the epitome of grace and beauty in the animal world.
With any luck and a little help from humans, these cats won't be the next species gone forever.
That's quite a roar. We'll take a break, and then we'll show you what keeps the laser display business hopping.
Science and Technology Week is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
Ah, yes, the guinea pig. When a new car comes out, nobody wants to be one. This past year, a number of pioneering souls bought the new Chrysler Concorde. Did they make the right decision? Among 129 new models sold, the Concorde was in the top 10 in owner satisfaction, along with Lexus and Mercedes, proving that sometimes good things come to those who don't wait. The Chrysler Concorde, an eloquent expression of form following function.
The man I want?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be all that gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
As long as he's a nice guy.
Okay. What do you really want?
I want Bond. James Bond.
Beginning November 29th on TBS.
Lasers were created only about 30 years ago, but they've quickly become a part of everyday life, from grocery store checkouts to high-tech medical procedures. Lasers also bring light to entertainment and commercial displays. CNN's Pat Neal went to a convention for the laser display industry and found people beaming about the prospects for a bright future.
It flows like liquid light, a mixture of art and technology. Beams shoot through the air or are projected on screens, planetarium domes, smoke, or even mountains.
We start out with the laser, which generates a beam of light, or as you see on the screen, a single dot of light.
The laser itself produces a beam that has all the colors in it. Then the crystal selects which colors we're going to see. The scanner moves the beam.
The scanner bounces the beams off 2 tiny mirrors.
And we create images by computer controlling those mirrors so that they're actually following connect the dot patterns and drawing an image. Only they draw that image so fast that your brain and your eyes are tricked into thinking that you're seeing an image out there in space. If you ever played with a flashlight or a sparkler, maybe on the 4th of July, as you move that around and around, all of a sudden you'll start to see a circle instead of that point of light. That's your persistence of vision.
Computers and faster-moving mirrors allow the laser artist to create these images from one beam of light.
We create a kind of ballet of light.
The laser display industry is small, only about 100 groups and companies worldwide. They produce shows for parks, Las Vegas reviews, planetariums, as well as trade shows and commercials. Some laser displays may look surreal, almost like a painting. Others may combine effects, adding fire, smoke, and fountains. Laserists are limited only by technology and their own imagination. Laserists say their future looks bright. They expect even faster scanners to allow them more versatility. The public can look forward to more spectacular shows and more three-dimensional effects. And they say it's a medium that should be experienced live.
It's the ability of the laser to dazzle, to do a lot of things and leave sparkles in your eyes.
That's the combination of technology and creativity that appears to be magic. Lasers may seem futuristic, but they were developed in 1960. Their main use then was for scientific research. It took 10 more years for those advances to reach the public. The laser display industry was born 20 years ago. Then the technology was simple, and it was up to the artists to carry the show. Now technology is so advanced, it spawned a whole new generation of laser artists. Advanced computers and faster scanners, which control the movement of the light, have revolutionized the industry. In the future, lasers may make it possible for those brilliant colors and shapes to jump out of your TV.
What we'd like to see eventually in one area is that looking at your video screen or looking out the window of your house, you won't be able to tell the difference.
Al Crabtree says he's developed a laser machine that would bring what's on the screen into your living room. His volumetric imaging device takes flat objects and makes them three-dimensional, and no one has to put on those goofy glasses.
Instead of having to watch the television, you'd be able to see the football game play on your table. You'd see the actual players running across the table instead of having to watch them on a screen.
Crabtree says other endeavors that could use his computer-driven system include medical scanning, scientific imaging, and automotive engineering. Rob Batchko's 3D display system could have similar applications. His machine draws a point on a flat screen with a laser beam. Then the screen is spun.
As we rotate the screen faster, we get to a point where human vision locks together all the points where the beam traces through on the screen.
It's inside a clear plexiglass cylinder so you can walk around it. From all angles, the figure inside appears to be three-dimensional. Batchko thinks it would be especially useful for air traffic control.
This medium would give air traffic operators a way in which they can just all, as a group, look down on the air traffic corridor. It's like a big chessboard.
And Batchko envisions a disco where there could be interactive dancing with a giant 3D display. Industry leaders say in the next few years, lasers may help beam the entertainment, medical, and airline industries into a new dimension.
In a few minutes, we'll give you a phone number where you can order transcripts of our program. And when we come back, temporary portable housing doesn't have to be miserable. We'll show you a new kind of tent city.
Historically, Chrysler luxury liners have had all the excitement of a bowl of prunes, said Motor Trend magazine. Enter the Chrysler New Yorker. 24 valves, 214 horses, and award-winning cab-forward design.
Come on, get the lead out.
No prune, but it is available in black cherry. The Chrysler New Yorker, an eloquent expression of form following function.
Living in a tent city will probably never be luxurious, but the U.S. Army has developed a high-tech tent city that can be shipped wherever it's needed and deliver a reasonable standard of living. CNN's Pat Etheridge reports.
It has all the modern conveniences of home. An automatic bank teller. Big screen TV. Sizzling meals. And steaming hot showers. Indeed, the Army's new state-of-the-art tent city is a far cry from a foxhole.
When you get into a situation like Desert Storm, they were sitting there waiting for something to happen for 6 months, and living in the foxhole doesn't work.
This was one of the lessons that we learned in the Gulf War, and we learned that we needed to make an upgrade, and we are doing that.
It's a $5.5 million compound called Force Provider. Spread over 30 acres, it can be packed up and transported by ship or plane and set up behind the battle zones in as little as a few days.
It says a lot for morale when the soldier's taken care of in a battlefield environment.
The facility will house up to 550 people. It comes complete with a water distribution system and flushing toilets.
This is like top of the line as far as tents go.
Satellite connections provide instant communications via telephone or radio. Soldiers requiring sophisticated medical care can get it on the spot.
This troop medical clinic can be hooked up with Walter Reed, and that troop medical clinic could be, as we are today in Somalia, Mogadishu, and talking with the physicians, the surgeons at Walter Reed.
The tent city on display at Fort Bragg is the first of 6 planned by the Army. They are designed to go 10 or 15 miles away from the front lines for soldiers who need rest and relaxation. So this is more than a rest haven for weary warriors. These high-tech tents can be set up for civilian use in the wake of natural disasters. The makeshift tent city that went up in the wake of Hurricane Andrew is primitive compared to what the Army can now offer.
That would have been a perfect situation down there. We could have housed either the civilians down there that lost their homes or the troops that were down there taking care of them.
Incorporating basic survival needs with the latest in technology means roughing it doesn't have to be so rough.
We're going to break camp and then see how a boat trip on San Francisco Bay may help kids get hooked on science. And if you'd like to order a transcript, the number to call is 303-831-9000. We'll be right back.
At Chrysler, we test crash an average of 1 vehicle every working day of the year. This is one of the reasons our new minivans meet all 1998 federal car safety standards today. Most companies would consider this an ugly way to show their cars. To anyone interested in safety, it's a beauty shot. Now save $500 during our minivan safety leadership sale.
Science and Technology Week is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
San Francisco, like all big cities, has its wild areas. That's exactly where one school field trip went this week. As CNN's Don Knapp reports, the students encountered some slippery characters.
It's only a short bus ride from just about any place in San Francisco to the water that nearly surrounds the city. But that ride can be a trip to another world for these inner-city kids. Maybe even a life-changing adventure.
Welcome aboard the Seabird. This is an expedition ship. This isn't the Love Boat.
The strange watery wilderness just a few miles from their homes can be scary, but probably not as dangerous as some of their own neighborhoods.
Well, that really is wild. But, it's not wild in nature. It's wild, a human being.
Trip sponsor Sven Olaf Lindblad says he himself was a bit wild as a kid until he encountered nature. Now he earns his living creating nature adventures for others. It's a living successful enough to allow him to give it free adventure to these youngsters.
I just hope that they see something of their area, their region that they perhaps don't know that much about, and that it touches them in one form or another. It just shows them some different possibilities in life.
Like eating strange animals for food.
What kind of shark is this, huh?
Roman half mussels, not eat them. What's that? Tough guy Munir Hassan wasn't ready for an ocean meal of shark meat, squid, or sturgeon eggs.
What am I avoiding? Everything from here down, basically.
Well, you can learn to read a fish.
To learn why a flounder's eyes move to the side of its head.
They live at the bottom.
Biologists net nearly invisible food from the ocean surface.
And then we're going to take it and put it under microscopes. It's the soup of the sea that we're getting.
Sandpipers peck for bugs all day. Great snowy egrets never stop fishing. The young adventurers learn that survival in the salt marsh is a full-time job. Possibly this one-day trip could lead to a career or two in marine biology, but Lindblad says that's not the point. What he wants to do is expose the kids to another world beyond the tough streets of the inner city.
Thanks for joining our expedition. I'm Miles O'Brien. Next week.